everybody. It's Chris Roberts for Fight Up TV. I'm joined by Matchroom CEO Frank Smith. How's things?
Yeah, really good, really good. Looking forward to Saturday night. It's very exciting. It's good times.
Can you give us a bit of a sort of overview of what to expect on Saturday night in terms of cards? Obviously, we had quite a lively press conference then in terms of Ted Cheeseman. It was a bit of kind of back and forth.
Yeah, it's going to be very entertaining. As you know, we've got 11 fights Saturday night. Final eliminator for the WBA title, 3 championship fights. The build-up's been quite interesting, especially between the senior Byfield and Ted Cheeseman. I'm sure on Saturday night you're going to see some fireworks there in the ring as well. Watkins and Chamberlain, when Chamberlain eventually turned up, yeah. I think you're going to see an entertaining fight there. Chamberlain's got a new trainer now. He's looking to improve and come back after that loss, and same for Luke as well. So there's some big fights, and obviously Ryder, it's a big opportunity for John Ryder and Andre Sorokin. Ryder's last 2 fights been 2 huge knockout wins, and I think he's looking to follow that up and then go on from here into some huge fights.
I think what this event is, it's almost like a platform for these guys to really kick on.
Yeah.
It's almost like every fight these guys have got an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, there's obviously a lot of pressure on them as well, but it promises to deliver a great night of action. Sure. You know, particularly for John Ryder, obviously, you know, headlining the event. He must obviously look at the likes of, you know, the Rocky Fielding and the Canelo announcements, and it's a massive incentive for him. In terms of him going forward and getting past Saturday night, where do you see the future hold for John Ryder?
I think there's some massive fights out there. What's interesting as well is our US venture. There's some big fights out there, especially at middleweight, super middleweight division around there. We've got Andrade's just won the middleweight belt. Daniel Jacobs fights for the middleweight belt this weekend. Canelo and Rocky Fielding, as you say, for the super middleweight title in December, and Callum Smith as well, who won the WBA super title against George Groves recently. So I think for John Ryder to step on from here, there's some massive fights for him. He's obviously moved up from the middleweight division, and he's shown a lot of power at super middleweight in his last couple of fights. And I think you'll definitely see some interesting fights, whether that's in the UK or US. Yeah. You know, we've got that ability now to make the big fights for all our guys.
And obviously this is live on DAZN as well. Yep. Is this am I right in saying it's the 3rd UK event through Matchroom on DAZN?
Yeah, so we had September 22 Joshua,
yep.
October 13 Newcastle, yep. and October 27th obviously. So
similar in terms of Newcastle, I would sort of put this in that bracket in terms of it being a very British event, yep. British atmosphere, British titles, yep. Obviously, you know, a lot of UK talents on the cusp of going on to world level. Yep. How have the US audience responded to these events being on DAZN, and what is sort of the initial response, and how have they? What was sort of the initial interest?
No, I think there's a lot of fans. We're looking for our shows in the, you know, we've been broadcasting our shows in the US for a long time, but you know, not all of the events got on there. But there's a lot of fans that want to just watch regular fight content. You know, DAZN are offering 80+ fight nights a year. You know, and these are hardcore boxing fans, and they want to see these great fights. Yeah. And they tell the story as well, which is very important. So it doesn't really matter where it's coming from. You know, our British shows tend to have the best atmospheres, and that's something we're trying to recreate in the US. Yeah. So I think people love tuning into the British fight nights and just seeing the best fights. And on Saturday night, you know, this is a great card of boxing. Yeah,
and obviously DAZN very integral in terms of the Canelo deal, a huge deal.
Yeah, massive.
In boxing history. Yeah. What sort of role did Matchroom play in that, or their involvement, or sort of your opinion on your thoughts on that deal?
No, it's huge for us. You know, it's great that Canelo joined the DAZN team, and Golden Boy. It just shows, you know, there's no excuses now for any of the fighters for joining. The biggest biggest pay-per-view star currently active in the US has joined the DAZN platform. So, you know, it shows their ambition, it shows they're here for a long time, and what they're here to do. They're here to tell stories, they're here to build fighters, build events, and I think it's brilliant for us. We're delighted with the move. You know, we work closely with DAZN since the start, and we just want what's best for the platform, and bringing Canelo onto the platform is great.
It's nice to see those levels as well, in terms of, you know, having a mega star on there, raising the profile, but then also bringing the likes of a Ryder through and giving them exposure as well. They kind of go hand in hand, and developing it. You mentioned before the narrative, the story, how important it is, and they're doing it. They seem to be doing, you know, a very good job of that.
Yeah, and as well, as you've seen in the last 2 shows we've done in the US, so we had Katie Taylor just boxed there, James Tennyson, Gavin McDonnell, and mine's gone blank now. But you know, we've
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
had 5 or 6 UK fighters out there
Yeah,
in the last few weeks. Callum Johnson as well, apologies. A fight on the US card. So we want to build these guys for the US market as well, because these are the big fights and they can take place in UK or US, and it's good that the zone are getting behind it. It's really good for the fighters.
Yeah. I just want to mention a quick talk on Tony Bellew.
Yep.
Obviously, it is a week Saturday. Am I right in saying he's fighting in the MMA, or is it 2 weeks Saturday?
2 weeks Saturday. 2 weeks Saturday. Yeah.
Massive opportunity for
Yes,
him.
yeah.
What are you thinking of it in terms of his chances in that fight? He's kind of going into it as underdog, or that's kind of what the general perception is. How do you fancy his chances in that fight?
One thing about Tony, you can never write him off. You know, Tony, every fight he's gone into, the 2 Bellew fights, the 2 David Haye fights, were what everyone was thinking, you know, David's got this, Tony is there, Tony is a great boxer, and I think, you know, hopefully Tony can shock everyone Saturday night. It's a huge opportunity for him as well to win all of those cruiserweight crowns, and then I think if he's unless his missus tells him otherwise, I think that'll be the end for him.
On that point, does he retire on the back of getting a potential victory? Is that possible for him? I mean, in my opinion, if Tony Bellew wins all those titles, wins that fight, he becomes a pay-per-view fighter in his own right. I think it would be fair to say Tony Bellew probably at the minute needs a good dancing partner to be a pay-per-view attraction. He wins all those belts, he becomes a pay-per-view star in his own right, doesn't need a dancing partner. Can he retire on that status?
I think he can. I think he'd be quite content with it. You know, he's had some huge fights, and I think he's he's done very well, and it's what he's always said. So hopefully, there's a lot of fighters who go away saying, I'm going to retire, and then come back. Hopefully, you know, if he wants to retire and he goes through with it and doesn't come back, if he's happy and that's what he wants to do, then that's what he should do.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's obviously a very exciting time. Got a very few exciting months ahead, November, December particularly. So yeah, thanks Smith, thanks for talking for Fight Up TV. Good catching up, and good luck.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Good to see you. Cheers.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you much.